So in the future also you will see it has increased. It will be increasing actually. So in the present upstream rig zone statement, they say that there is an increase in growth spend by 16%. Future oil and gas industry dependent on technology and new applications, which I told. Renewable energy, challenger, it's a challenger, but it is dependent upon non-renewable, because even all those solar panels, the windmills we make, they are all made out of oil value-added products. Actually, both complement each other. Now they are thinking that if India has gone in a big way in the last 2 years into renewable. I think in solar we have made around 10,000 megawatt of plant we have put in. But what has been seen is that if you want to keep them economical and viable, you have to supplement them with something from the non-renewable side. So they are thinking in terms of putting a gas pipeline and then keeping it active and continuously producing energy for the active areas where energy is required. Drilling is a dominant sector, and in which drilling fluid solution is a solution provider, because chemicals are the only thing which can go in till the formation. Otherwise, all other things you take it out. You cannot reach there. So drilling fluids are the hole stabilizer, efficiency improver, and productivity enhancer. So a basic example of which you can go to the Google and find out. So this is how oil well drilling is done. So oil well drilling fluids, which have chemicals which are organic, inorganic in nature, solvents and surfactants, mined and modified natural products, specialty chemicals, and synthetic polymers. In modern times, the technology is more to do with surface chemistry, micronizing it, making it nano. Same lignite which you sell at 1800 per metric ton or maybe 2000 plus, when you make it nano, its applications can change. So that is what is now being thought of. Why don't we use the cheapest of the materials, silica, calcium carbonate, make it nano and then see what we can do. And that's what the industry is doing. Now we are seeing mining, construction, ceramic and plastic industry chemicals are entering into the oil industry. Nano application from other fields are also finding its application. So if you see the history of the world, initially there was no mud, like I showed you into that path which was there, how they used to do percussion drilling. Then once they started drilling, instead of oil, water started coming in. Then it became something like a muddy thing. So they started making mud out of it. Then they added mined material into it. Then they add plant product into it. Then they add processed material into it. Then they started using plant dispersants, that is kutch, lignite and all. So they dispersed it. Then the polymers came into existence. Then they added salt into it. They saw that salt was better. Then they started telling it as high performance water based muds, which are actually combination of many technologies which put together make it. So presently we are here until here. So a lot of wells have been drilled with these muds also. But the future is here, self-realizing intelligent fluids. With nano coming into existence, maybe we can think of all those things, and then we can talk of the smart fluids. So this is the global market, and India can play a big role in this global drilling fluid market. In India, most of the chemicals are made, except for 5-6 chemicals. So that is where, where if India can move into that market. So what I'll be covering is this area, the rheology modifier, inhibitors, performance enhancers. Otherwise, specialty chemicals have a lot of application in downstream and process. Rather, actually, they are more there. So these are some of the companies, specialty drilling fluid companies, in which one of them is also marked in one of the reports I saw, Thermex being one. These are, wider one, but these are, some of them are in India. This Varco is also there, also doing some, okay. And this is the global fluid market. If you see, majority of the fluids work in the onshore applications. That is 63%. Out of that, 80% of the fluids are water based. Oil based muds are also used, but 80% of those fluids are water based. So when we talk of chemicals and water being the medium, there are a lot of chemicals which can come into application. So when we talk of chemicals and then specialty chemicals, what are specialty chemicals? It's defined out here. In the oil industry, we call them as performance chemicals. When we talk of drilling fluids are a complex mixture of many things. So it is not possible to measure parameters in that way. So what we do is we check for the performance. So that's the reason we call specialty chemicals as performance chemicals. So some of these specialty chemicals which are already in use in the oil industry are these. Not exactly. For example, xanthan gum polymer is used, but we are thinking of getting in a bacteria resistant xanthan gum, whose cost would be around 6 lakhs to 7 lakhs per ton, whereas normal bio xanthan gum is around 1.25 lakhs or 1 lakh. Similarly, super low viscosity packs, polyanionic cellulose, this is being thought of, where we can work on. India is already manufacturing polyanionic cellulose. Xanthan gum, it is imported, majority of it. Few companies are trying to make it, but they need to be given a confidence that yes, we will take so much tons of material. So that confidence has to be given. Polyacrylamide of HTHP, higher temperature, that needs to be taken care of. Synthetic polymers, and there are many synthetic polymers which can withstand 180, 190 degrees, and these chemicals are required for HTHP wells. So this is one specialty chemical. Then we have this LCM control, loss control, and they are required to stop the loss of the mud. We have nano lubricants, bridging materials. This is where micro and nano can come in. So we can make specialty chemicals of all these materials. For example, lignite can be made micro and nano, gilsonite, silica, and which can give better performance. Tri-minus tetroxide, this is a weighing material, and this is used to give the specific gravity to a fluid. Then we have bromides and formates. They come in the specialty system category. Then we have mix of solid and liquid, and then they are used in the fluid to give specific gravity. These are some of the nano materials which have already been tested by the labs and been used in few fields. Now this is one area where Indian companies can work on, and India can become a hub of supply of specialty chemicals. So this is just a screenshot, and this talks of different nano material. I don't know whether you can see it or not. So it is all these chemicals which I talked here. So these have already been seen that they perform for lubrication, for HTHP enhancement, for stabilizing the fluid, for reducing the fluid loss, for hole stability. It has already been proved. So these are some of the only you have to make it nano. So some of the application area of the specialty chemicals and in nano category. The solid algae based high temperature lubricant, they are solid, they are made out of algae. As such, they won't give you any lubricity, but when they are in touch with two surfaces at a temperature of 320 degrees centigrade, they become lubricants. So that is one area which we can think of. Silicon based defoamers, already I am seeing a lot of companies here, they are talking of it. And some of them are repeated, which I have told you earlier. Present world thrust in drilling fluid. Most of the wells which are drilled in developmental drillings are either horizontal or directional. More R&D, actually presently the world oil industry has totally stopped R&D. No money is being pumped in. But this was just 3-4 months back. But once this war took place, I think again they are pumping in money because the oil prices are going high. As I had showed you earlier, water-based mud is the dominant player because they are cost effective. Low toxicity SOBM, it's oil-based mud. The base is oil. It is synthetic oil. The creams which we use this base oil. They are, you can just even touch, put it in your tongue, nothing is going to happen because they are so low. I mean, there's no toxicity at all in it. So the oil industry uses a lot of LTSOBM, that is oil-based mud, but you will find very few papers on it. The reason is there is a lot of environmental issue to it. Although with this base oil, no issues are there actually. Smart fluids are gaining greater role. As we drill more and more high-tech wells, the smart fluids are going to become, the say of the day. Nanotechnology finds application significantly. Synthetically modified fluid loss additive is again the biggest market which we are seeing. And as you can see, the biggest market in the world in the water-based mud is the fluid loss reducer. Some of the national oil companies also have their own laboratories. Service companies are actually the one who work in a big way into the R&D for the oil industry. So international scenarios, as I have told you earlier, more work is going on in these areas. It's not that the other areas are not touched. They are also there. But you have to keep on adding more fields, more reserves. So that is where, the exploration goes on. In India, as you can see, the operators which are as shown here, then you have the service companies, most of them are international companies. But India is a very big manufacturer of oil field chemicals, and India exports a lot of its chemicals to Middle East and Africa. Okay. But we lag behind in specialty chemicals. That is where I feel the Indian market can, make a push for. Some of the chemicals which are imported, hexapolymer, potassium formate, KCl is imported. It comes from Jordan or Israel. Then we have PHPA, NEFA is a plant product, and select SOBM chemicals. These are the only chemicals which are imported. Otherwise, all other chemicals are manufactured here. Then some of the completion fluids chemicals which are again imported. So, as I have told you earlier, we are a big exporter. So, into this new initiative, Government of India, Atmanirbhar and Make in India and Self-Reliant India, and government came out with this GEM policy, and it is slowly pushing up, as can be seen here. In 2020, these are the figures, and then now it has gone up by nearly 10 times. Other companies are pushing in, and let's see what happens. In the R&D sector, we have a lot of IITs and in universities who have their own laboratories and who teach the children for the petroleum engineering and petrochemical engineering. Other than that, we have ONGC, then Schlumberger, Baker Hughes, and IIT laboratories, which have their strength to do the testing and do R&D. The industry, the manufacturing industry, or they themselves have their quality labs. Then there are some specialist laboratories which I have seen myself, Terry Laboratory, then Sriram Laboratory in Delhi, who are capable of adding value to the chemical market. So there is a scope for the institutions also to support the industry and support the market to bring in the specialty chemicals. Now you may ask, what are the drilling fluids used in the Indian market? So these are the fluids which are being used. See, KCl, PHPA, glycol, polyamine. So these are this is a fluid system. Then high performance water based mud. Then there are different names, which it will be difficult for you to understand, but they're all based on the chemicals which are used. For example, HGS NDDF. This is made by using hollow glass spheres. Microbubble, in which a lot of chemicals, I think 13 chemicals are used to make the fluid. So these fluids are presently in the market. These are in the completion and testing. So these are, to support these fluids, you need to have the chemicals, and the specialty chemicals are all added in. So where do you apply it? So these are some of the application area. So what I feel, is the government asks us, and we need to plan. We cannot put them all in one category. So it's always, the near immediate plan, the mid plan, and the long term plan. So that's how I put in here. So in the near immediate first area, we can think of the products which are already there and which are in application in India. So the companies can work in those areas, and the companies who are producing oil, they can support these industries to manufacture them. In the near future, we can think of our Indian companies becoming international players, then get some of the material from the market, do reverse engineering, which China did it in a very big way, and now they command the market. Then nanotechnology materials is one area where Indian institutes, Indian industry are very well into, and this is one area which I feel can have a big say into the market. Long term, we can develop the concept of intelligent fluids. These are all digital applications of the fluid. So we need to synergize the digital with the chemistry for new solutions. Now, I have written a word here: overlap is always better than gap. This was said by one of our directors. And I feel it is very important. Say a company is there and it's the only company which is doing some R&D. No one is there to question them or even counter them anything. But if you have his competitors, what will happen is there will be always development for all the companies. Similarly, in the institutions also, say you have IIT Mumbai and IIT say Chennai. If you only have one particular lab in IIT Mumbai only and don't have anywhere else, there is always a chance that you always think in one single unidirection and you don't get result. So you need to have institutes which counter each other or overlap each other. That's what I feel. Okay. These are again the repetition of it, but in the near future, I'm telling that we can work in these areas. In the middle path, we can think in this way. Then same in the middle path, because once the industry gears up into the present products, and then they can think of the other products which the international market is doing or their own R&D can develop. So these are some of the things which may look a little visionary. Vision is something which I think of flying to Mars, but it is always better to think in that direction, because otherwise you won't think of Mars. So similarly, continuous control of drilling fluid properties in the wellbore in range. Now recently there was a news in the market, in the paper, we have found plastics in our blood. Everyone has heard. That means we are alive and plastic is also there, which is actually a bonus point, I sometimes feel. If we can make nanomaterial and in our blood, which can control many things for us, that is what we want. So similar on the same line, we were thinking of having microchips and nanomaterials into the wellbore, which can control the fluid as per the requirement of the well. So that is one visionary thing. So this is how we think of that in future. For example, you must have seen a movie, Armageddon, with Smith, I think, as the hero. They are thinking of going to asteroid and then drilling it to break it into two parts so that it doesn't hit the earth. Something like that. You have to think. Asimov, the writer, Carl Sagan, they take you into a different world. So even in this chemical world, if we do not think mad, we have to be mad, we have to be biased, then only something can come out of it. Did anyone think that in 1910 the TV will be there? There was no TV that time, but now we have TV in our pocket. Okay, so similarly, in the fluids area also, in the specialty area, nano area, we have to think in a fashion which may look mad as on today, but can be. That is how you design things. Elon Musk, what he has done, he has totally revolutionized the space. Same thing, defining it actually. So my takeaways is push for basic and applied drilling fluid R&D. Drilling fluids means chemicals means specialty chemicals. Thrust is to make in India campaign success. That is the only way. No other country is going to help us. Frankly, I am telling you, no other country. And this is the right moment to do it. We can easily make chemical hub of the world. India can be made. Work with Indian industry on specialty chemicals. Already, as I see, I am just a very small speck in the market, in the oil industry in a particular direction. Whereas I see, I don't know anything about the chemicals which they are talking of. So this is one area I am trying to push up here. Actually, in ChemExpo, the oil industry has not been touched. But there are few companies who have come with the chemicals. But I feel that I'll be writing to them that they should have an oil division or specialty division into the oil and gas industry built up. So, where we want to reach. Learning is continuous. Thank you.
BH Shrikant Pune. Your specialty chemicals seem to be restricted only to the drilling fluid. Okay, I'm talking about this. Some of these specialty chemicals still we are importing. Okay, is it not shameless on our part that we are approaching small countries like South Korea, Hungary, and Japan with a begging bowl for these specialty chemicals? For example, gibberellic acid, lysine, citric acid. These specialty chemicals still we are approaching small countries for imports. Okay, now the main hurdle is this: Japan has made cartel with all other advanced countries not to disclose these key technologies to third world countries like India, because they don't want to reduce our dependence upon them. Okay, they want to ensure that constantly we should approach them with begging bowls, with foreign exchange outgo. Okay, that is why in Indian Science Congress I had raised this issue, Chandigarh, okay, with the Ministry of the Science and Technology, Government of India, that under CSR there are 38 R&D organizations. Why can't we develop our own full-fledged workable technologies? Okay, this is the present status.
Okay.
Still we are following with the Government of India.
As far as I know, the Government of India has moved ahead very fast actually, and now the policies are such, at least I know in my oil industry, that it is very easy. We can approach them, tell them this is the technology. Earlier they would ask, has it been used anywhere? Now it is not so. You need to only tell them that you give a trial. There is a scope in which there is a window under which they can do pilot experiments, pilot projects. And that is how, new technologies can be adopted into the oil industry. Now, do you know, in the last year, 14% of oil which India imports has come from USA, which was never so. Why? Because we are getting it cheaper there. We have diversified our basket. Why? So that we are not dependent on very few. Our bargaining power has increased, no doubt, in the last 7 years, I would say. And even before that also, it is not that like that. But yes, our bargaining power has increased, and our industry, businessmen, they are also thinking that we can also do it. That's what I have seen also, that the chemicals which we were importing earlier now are being manufactured here. NIFA is one of the chemical which was imported from a company known as Messina. Drilling Specialities is the company name. Drill Chem, I think, yes. Now it is manufactured in India. It's a plant product. So why can't we make it? So it has been made in India, it has been used, and it is. So I am sure within the next 10 years, Indian scenario will change, and yes. Yes. Yes, there is a company known as Encapso. That's an American company, and they came with that powder. Then our lubricants are liquid. So, and our testing method and tool is different. It has this Encapso has to be tested on pen and V. Then I approached BPCL. They do have it. Then the thing is, we need to then procure it and do the testing. It's not been tested, but what I heard in USA, majority of the shale gas and shale oil wells use encapso. And as metal touches on the metal while drilling, and there is a lot of friction, this encapso gives them a lubrication which is very, 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 very good. So this is one example I've given. Algae is not a problem here, we can do it. It is, and our institutes are doing great work now actually. And what I have shown this as a catalyst, and I am just acting as a catalyst for our industry to approach our companies, maybe private or government or public sector, and I am sure that something will come up.
Sir, how you see the use of APGs, that is alkyl polyglucosides or biosurfactants in enhanced oil recoveries, which are natural and biodegradable surfactants, and is this, and if now the surfactants which are used today are water soluble, so if someone develops an oil soluble surfactant, do you think that that will actually enhance oil recovery to a substantial higher level?
Okay, you are from which company, if I ask?
I'm from Galaxy Surfactants.
Okay, okay. Your name is?
Yatin Sheth, and I have my colleague Dheeraj with me.
Yes, yes, yes. You have been in conversation with me. Okay, I know surfactants play a big role in sweep of the reservoir, and we use surfactants to enhance the production. I am not from the process division, but I can say that yes, there are, our institutes are there, IOGPT, WSS, IRS, and they are into request for development of samples or products which can which they will test it in their laboratories to see as to whether it can make an impact. And you can then very well design an oil based surfactant, but the problem is you need to make a surfactant which are applicable on both the areas. The reason is you just don't have oil and you just don't have water. It's a mixture there. It's an emulsion there. These emulsions are under that temperature and pressure. So when it comes out, some of it gets separated, some of it is in emulsion form, and some of them are in a very tight emulsion, which you cannot break them. Even temperatures won't do. So that is one area. If we can separate them out there itself, then we can reduce the cost, the back pressure would be less. So those are the areas. Yes, you can, I'll give you the contacts where they do it, and they have some specialty equipments to test them out. And then we have other laboratories here in Pune and Turve, where the companies are working on it, private companies. So that's how, yes, I see a very good future for the oil soluble surfactants also.
Thank you, sir.